G'day Aussie Bush Changers, Paul here. Today we've got a serious discussion, a bit of an educational one actually, because it's quite warm outside. I thought I'd do a quick little video inside. You can probably hear the generator running behind me, so hopefully it's not too much of a distraction. Now I've written a few notes down so I can cover just the basics. We'll see how we go. It's a bush awareness. We had a bit of an incident last night. The mother-in-law managed to go for a bit of a walk and got lost in our bushland. It was all hands on deck because it was getting close to dark and she had no idea where she was. She didn't even remember which way she'd left the property, so we had to scramble. So the first thing we did was went for a drive down, because our road goes for about 2 kilometres out the front of the property, and we went down one end and just started slowly driving along, blasting the air horns on the car until the point where she could actually, the mother-in-law could actually hear the car. Now it was 9/10 of the way through the trip before we actually got a positive response, so we identified roughly where she was. Now we didn't know which direction she was walking, so I suggest anyone that's going to go walking in the bush, first and foremost, you've got to know your north, east, south, west. If you're going in there, you're asking for trouble if you don't know it. The other thing is, when it's coming close to night time, or if the moon's out, it's good to know what cycle the moon is in. You can actually identify where north, east, south, west is generally by the moon, as long as you know which cycle it's in. Last night it would have been handy because the curve of the moon was pointing west, so we were trying to explain to her to walk along the flat part of the moon direction, which would give her northerly direction, and she could have just come up to the road and met us there, but the instructions, she couldn't understand it. The other thing was have a good two-way radio, so she had that. That was lucky. If she didn't have that, it would have been all over Red Rover. So we were able to communicate with that. Make sure the batteries are full if you go out for a walk with a radio, and also always let someone know when you plan to be back and give yourself some time. If you go out and you say, look, I'll be back at 2 o'clock, and 3, 4 o'clock you're not back, people know that there's a problem and they can start looking. If you don't tell them, or you say, oh yeah, I'll be back before it's dark, it's too late then. It's going to be dark for the search, so that's no good. Now when it comes to finding someone, a couple of notes I made. You need to first identify what directions you need to look in. Our property is kind of an east-west direction, so we were able to just travel along the road to identify where she was, and then we could get her to walk in a certain direction. We had several radios. We've got the ones in the car, one in each car. We've got 3 handheld ones, so there's no shortage of radios. Comes in very handy. You're better off having a few backups, and again, they need to be fully charged if you've got handhelds. You need to have some sort of audio device that the person will be able to hear. In our case, we've got the air horns in the car on a separate switch to the normal horn, so it's not illegal because it's switched over. When I press the horn, it's just a normal horn. If I'm doing something that I need the air horn, I can switch it. If I'm doing mountain driving, I use the air horn for corners. Lets the cars coming around the tight corners know. It's a good alert. And if somebody's lost in the bush, an air horn's handy. The other thing that could come in handy is lights, very bright lights. It was no good in our situation last night because the mother-in-law is a lot lower than the trees, so just the foliage just blocked everything out. She was unable to see anything. And the one thing that came in very handy was the drone. That was a great investment. I was able to fly over roughly where she was. She identified where it was, and I kind of guided her back a little bit towards the road in that right direction. We found her just in the nick of time. It was By the time she got to the car, it was dark. The light from underneath the drone was actually lighting the pathway for her to get up to the road. So it was very close, very lucky. Everyone's all good. Everyone survived. That's good. It's the main thing. Keep in mind, when you're in a bush, it's very easy to get turned around and walk the same track several times and you don't even know it. Everything looks the same. You need to be very aware of your surroundings. So that's it for today. I'm going to put another video out either today or tomorrow, just discussing about the off-grid planning and the negative aspects of it. This being one of them, someone getting lost. But just the reality of it. There's good and bad with everything. There's bad things that we've got the hot days coming up. Currently it's about 35 outside. The air conditioner's on in here with the tarp over the caravan. We've got it down to about 24 in the caravan, so I think we should be right on the 44-degree day. Just using a lot of fuel, that's all, until we get the solar system in place. So yeah, I'll put a little video together of the downside to off-grid planning. Alright, stay safe everyone. Take it easy. Paul out. Ciao.